Ah, the holiday season. Food, gifts, and family. A time is had during the holidays all around the world. But each country has its own, and if America has Christmas, then Korea has the Lunar New Year, also known as Seollal. Celebrated in most Asian countries, it is a fresh start for everyone and a reason for celebration. But what makes the Lunar New Year so important? What makes it different from the Western New Year? What does it mean to the people in both a historical and a modern sense? What exactly do people do during this time of the year? Today, let's answer the question of, what exactly is the Lunar New Year in Korea? Now, you may be wondering, New Year's is celebrated on January 1st with the Times Square ball drop, fireworks, champagne, resolutions, and a New Year's kiss. What is all of this about a Lunar New Year? Well, this is indeed true, as these days the New Year is rung in on the Gregorian calendar, which happens to fall on January 1st. However, traditionally, Korea had followed the lunisolar calendar, which relies on the moon to count the months and the sun and season to follow the years. The Lunar New Year, or Seollal, always falls on the first day of this system. On this calendar, a month has either 29 or 30 days, so the date of Lunar New Year changes from year to year. However, because as the years pass, days may get pushed back further and further in relation to the modern Gregorian calendar, a leap month, known as Yundal, is added, to ensure that Seollal always falls in the correct season. Yeah, you heard that right. In the lunisolar calendar, some years actually consists of not 12, but 13 months. That being said, modern-day Korea essentially celebrates New Year's twice, once on January 1st and again during the Lunar New Year, in accordance to tradition. In addition, everyone gets 1 year older on the Lunar New Year regardless of your birthday. While no longer observed officially today, in Korean culture it is still widely practiced. But that raises the question, what exactly is done during Lunar New Year in Korea? How have traditions been preserved through the centuries? Well, it actually can be traced all the way back to the Three Kingdoms period around the 4th century CE. In the history of the Three Kingdoms, or Samguksagi, it is recorded that the beginning of the year was a special day where state and ritual observance occurred. By this point, Korea and much of Asia had already adopted it through the regional hegemonic power, which was China. At the time, the Lunar New Year observance had not yet adopted the family and community-oriented themes that it does today, but it served as the foundation of what would eventually become Seollal. After the Three Kingdoms had been unified and the Goryeo Kingdom was established, the Lunar New Year had officially become an established event in terms of what could now be considered a holiday. According to the Chronicles of Goryeo, or Goryosa, the Lunar New Year was officially recognized as a court holiday, and in turn, royal ceremonies were held and several high-level banquets and events were held. It was observed in this fashion until the rise of the Joseon dynasty in 1392. It was only with the rise of Joseon that the Lunar New Year became what is still recognized today. With the change of dynasties, the king sought to follow more closely with Confucian ideals, which focused heavily on hierarchy, filial piety, family, and respect. Following this, the Lunar New Year celebrations evolved as well. While the New Year was celebrated on an official government level, it expanded even further into the households of the average families of Joseon. There are many components to the various events that occur during the Lunar New Year, all of which focus heavily on the family. If you went back in time to the time of Joseon, regardless of class, the day would unfold something like this. You would wake up in the new year and make an effort to groom yourself as much as possible. As the new year marks new beginnings, you would wear your cleanest clothes, and if you could afford it, you would don brand new clothes to mark the occasion. The most important part of the new year must be prepared, that being the charye, or ancestral rites. A table is set with ritual spaces in mind, ritual tablets, or during later years, photographs as the centerpiece. Surrounding the centerpiece is a variety of foods to offer the ancestors you are honoring. These foods vary greatly depending on the class of the person, but typically, rice and soup, fish, meat, vegetables and fresh fruit, and rice cakes or tteok are prepared. By tradition, typically the tops of fruits are cut off to display uniformity. This is done to offer the most aesthetically pleasing and highest quality food to the ancestors. Incense are lit, and the family bow to the ancestors in an elaborate ceremony. It is to give thanks and also to inform them that the family is being well maintained. If you want to learn the details of this, please leave a comment below. After this, the atmosphere shifts to a more lighthearted one. The younger generation then bows to the parents or present elders to show respect. In this case, the children bow to parents, the younger siblings bow to older siblings, and daughters-in-law bow to parents-in-law to show respect. In return, the elders will often gift blessings, gifts, or money to their juniors. Symbolically, the food is consumed by the ancestors, but it is not thrown away after the ancestral rites. The food offered is then prepared to be eaten by the family. Traditionally, the women prepare the food and sit at separate tables from the men, showing the gender hierarchy in Korean tradition. Once the men are served, the women eat together and the whole family connect with the ancestors while eating the first meal of the day. This is said to bring good fortune to the family. After this, the family would then proceed to the homes of the living elders of the family or people in the community. Greetings, bows, and pleasantries are presented to show respect for extended family elders as well as the community leaders. After this, everyone would return home and spend the day relaxing with family. Several games would be played such as Yunnori, Jegichagi, Nertwigi, or Tuho. Yunnori involves throwing 4 sticks with different markers, and depending on the result of the markers, various moves are made by pieces on a board. Jegichagi is a game similar to hacky-sack, using a cloth shuttle to see who can keep it in the air the longest. This game was recently repopularized by the renowned K-drama Squid Game. Women would often play Nertwigi, which was a seesaw where 2 people would take turns jumping on a wooden board. Tuho is a game where you try to throw arrows into a wooden receptacle to see who gets the most points. These games went on well into the 21st century but are largely not played, but are taught in school. The night would end early with a conservative dinner. Emphasis was placed on the importance of ancestry as opposed to a day of fun. This served as one of the 2 most important holidays in Joseon, Korea. This would change drastically starting in 1910 when Japan officially annexed Joseon. While Joseon existed on the aforementioned lunisolar calendar, Japan operated on the Gregorian calendar, which was adopted during the Meiji Restoration. Emperor Meiji, in an effort to modernize Japan and match Western values, got rid of the lunisolar calendar in favor for the Gregorian one. This was also reflected on the Empire of Korea, despite the protest of Emperor Sunjong. The Lunar New Year was not recognized by the state, and public observance was heavily discouraged. These traditional holidays were viewed as old-fashioned by the Japanese government, and in an official capacity, the day was treated as any other. However, privately, it was observed as it always had been, albeit in a much quieter and smaller capacity. This would continue until Korea was liberated at the end of World War II in 1945. After liberation, the Lunar New Year continued to be treated as a custom rather than a national holiday. It was only in the 1980s that it was restored as an official national holiday, when it was formally restored as the multi-day-long event that it is today. Many core parts of Korean society, such as the worker unions, academies, and communities, called for the official restoration, as more than 80% of the Korean population observed it in a private manner. In 1989, it was restored under the administration of South Korean President Do Tae-woo. Despite the dictatorship status of North Korea, it is also observed in a limited capacity there as well. Ancestral rites are discouraged, and it still exists mostly in a private capacity, much like South Korea between 1945 and 1989. Instead, it is encouraged to celebrate the state, the leaders, and the history of revolution in the world of the North Korean state. In South Korea today, Seollal is celebrated much as it was during the Joseon period. The day before, day of, and the day after are nationally recognized holidays, and many families return to their ancestral homes. In the modern day, that makes this time particularly difficult to procure public transportation tickets, and traffic jams are a common occurrence. The traditional games and conservative meals have largely been abandoned for the modern equivalents of family time and eating out. Most religions observe ancestral rites to some degree, except by many Protestant Christians, who observe it as a religious act that goes against their personal religion's beliefs. The Lunar New Year, or Sollar, is a holiday steeped in tradition that dates back hundreds and hundreds of years. While many do not observe it in the traditional sense, it is still regarded as one of the most important holidays in Korean culture. Not only does it represent the start of a new year, but also shows the importance of ancestors and respect that has helped shape modern Korean society today. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe so you can see more videos just like this.